Finance Minister François-Philippe Champagne tabled his first budget today. It's called a generational shift in investments, taking on a huge deficit to make Canada strong. But will Canadians buy into it? Tom Mulcair joins us. Hi, Tom.
Hi, Matsumi. Good to be with you.
So, Tom, they're talking about, generational investments. They're huge investments. But investments like this are going to take time before people see benefits from them. A lot of people are asking for help now. Are Canadians willing to wait, do you think?
I think you're on to the most essential point and the biggest problem with the budget. There's a basic rule that you've known for a long time in politics, which is you try to set the expectations low, and then if you go above them, you've done well. Mr. Carney and Mr. Champagne, even as they walked into the House today, into the microphones, this is a generational budget. It is transformational. So they put up big numbers like 150 billion on infrastructure spending, but almost all of that was already accounted for. What is there over the next 5 years is $300 billion of new deficits on the backs of, wait for it, future generations. So it's generational in the sense that future generations are going to be stuck with this thing for a long time. We're still trying to deal with Trump. There's no light at the end of that tunnel for now. On the environment, talking about future generations, they're getting rid of the 2 billion tree planting program. They're going to phase it out. They're getting rid of emissions caps on oil and gas. That's a huge problem for greenhouse gas production. They say, they'll get rid of it if they can come up with something like on carbon capture and storage. Guess what? Trees are very good at carbon capture and storage, but they're getting rid of that. Just the 2023 wildfires, 8.6 billion mature trees lost. They're canceling a program for 2 billion. So it's unbelievable. And that's why, of course, Elizabeth May said she can't support it. She says she's going to try to get changes. Maybe she will. The NDP doesn't know what to do with it at all. They're thinking of a big strategic abstention. I don't think that makes any sense, and I don't know anybody who ever got elected, Matsui, to go and abstain. But that's about where the NDP is right now, down to 7 seats.
Will this budget pass, though, Tom? I mean, every time there's a minority government, there's this debate about whether it's going to trigger an election. But does anybody want an election at this point?
I think whoever triggers an election into the holiday season will pay a very heavy price for it with the voting public. I don't think that is the intention of anybody right now, to have that Christmas time election, but accidents do happen. The NDP I just mentioned, there are only 7 of them, but 3 of them are going one way, 4 of them going another way. Elizabeth May is on her own. There's a Conservative who just crossed the floor, an Acadian named Chris d'Entremont, who's from Nova Scotia. Interesting guy, fluently bilingual, has just declared that he's leaving the Conservatives and going over to the Liberals of Mark Carney. That's a bit of a breather for Carney. It comes just at the right time. Are the NDP actually going to do this? Would the Bloc change its mind? There's an old trick with whips. You keep people behind the curtains as long as possible, and you try to see what the NDP is going to do. The problem is, of course, once the voting starts, you can't get new people into the House. So the Bloc has already said, clear as a bell, they're voting against this thing, as, of course, has Poilievre and his Conservatives. So really, it is up to the NDP. And it's unpredictable, but I don't think that they want an election right now. They don't even have a leader, completely flat broke after the last campaign.
And I'm wondering, too, what Canadians will think of Mark Carney, because I think they're willing to give him some leeway because they know negotiating trade with Donald Trump, it's really not in Canada's control. But this budget is all Mark Carney.
Well said.
What do you think?
Said. Exactly. Yep. I think the Canadians like Mark Carney a lot. They voted for him to put him in at a very fraught time in Canada-U.S. relationships that goes right to the heart of our economic life, and they're willing to give the guy a break because the hand that he was dealt was largely together by Justin Trudeau, and he's supposed to be doing a heck of a lot better. This budget is not something that the average Canadian will look at and say, oh, this takes care of my concerns. People are having trouble paying for their groceries. They're having trouble putting gas in their pickup. They're having trouble paying, the activities of their kids at school. It's a very tough time. The Americans have been going up like this over the past 10 years. We've been going down like this. And it was, of course, mostly because of Trudeau, because he didn't know how to manage, and the government spending and the size of the bureaucracy completely out of control. But Carney was supposed to get a handle on that, and now he's saying, well, we'll try to reduce it by 40,000 because it went up 40%. But there's not much of a plan there other than trying to use an imaginary surplus in the pension plan to buy them out of their jobs at the age of 50. But I don't think that makes any sense either. We're far from the type of decisive action we saw from Paul Martin and Jean Chrétien back in the day.
Okay. Thank you very much for this, Tom.
Good to be with you, Mitsumi. All the best.